This time on Beat Up Builds, we make a cold air intake out of absolute junk. Alright guys, here's my plan. This is our intake that we made last time. It's just an open element. The exhaust is there. It's all hot under here. The supercharger just makes the hot air going in hotter. So ideally, I'd like to make a cold air box. And here's my plan. So I've got the factory air box sitting in here. And I'm going to try and use pieces of this, I think. As you can tell, it's too small. So I'm going to have to cut. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that mount. And I think I'm going to cut this top off. The base of this fits the fender really well. So I'm going to try and leave the base. I'm going to cut this top lip off, and then I'm going to cut it in half and make the top a little wider. And I think this is going to stay straight here, but I'm going to have this come out and up, so there's a little more room for the filter. And I'm going to raise it up too, because it needs to be, I don't know, it might need to be up here to get this pipe through the bottom. So that's kind of the plan. And then after that, then we'll modify the top to fit. But right now, I think the plan, I think what we need to start with is just hack this apart and start there. Alright, we're making progress. It doesn't really look like it, but we're making progress. Alright, I've cut everything up. I did take some measurements, so at least things will kind of be even. Maybe that'll help me. I cut the two brackets off on the other side, but I left this one. This is the one in the front, and I think all this is going to stay the same. So I think next, I think this wall is just going to be taller. So I think that's the first thing we'll work on. We'll bolt this in, figure out how much taller this needs to be, get some metal in here and tack that in place. And that'll be the start of our box, and then we could work on this half. Okay, moving along here. I bent this back edge out as far as I could just to get a little more room around the air filter. Now the air filter fits in there. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on this wall right here. I think we'll need a 2-inch spacer or piece of metal. We'll put that on the front first, and then we'll go from there after that. But I think that'll get us started, and then we can work on the back. We're going to bring the back out as far as we can so we get as much room as possible around the air filter is my plan. I got it tacked in place. I raised it about 2 1/4 inches roughly with this piece of the muffler, because that's all I have for steel. So let's set that in there, and then we'll start our next plan. We'll probably work on the back side, and then I think we'll connect the top hoop or whatever. We'll make that level and connect that, and then I think we'll fill in everything, I think is the plan. You guys are starting to see my vision now. So we got this lip in here, and this is roughly about where it's gonna go. I'll probably sit this up just a little bit so there's some space under the filter. And so now we need to work on this back. I'd like to bring it over maybe here, or as far as I can. That way we have as much room as possible around the filter so it can make all the cool noises. All right, so I made this. It's kind of got the same flange as this has. And I'm gonna tack it like that. And then I'm gonna tack this piece onto it like that. So let's do that, and then I'll make the other side. I finished the lip here, so we got this side and this side welded in. So we have the framework here, and the filter probably sits something like this. So we have a good bit of room around the filter, which is awesome. The next step is I need to make this piece back here to kind of hold this lip up rigid, and then we can fill in the gaps and build the top. Check it out, it's all coming together. The back's attached. This pipe will come up a little bit. It's just kind of all laying in here right now. It's not perfect, but the overall shape is there, and the air filter should fit. Yeah, look, we got loads of room. It sits there, we'll do pretty good. And then I just gotta make the lid fit. And yeah, we're going right down the right path here. I'm really happy about this. Pretty much have the bottom welded up. I might have to fill in that hole. I gotta fill in this hole. But for the moment, I think I'm just gonna leave it as is and start working on the top. I was up wicked late last night, but I got a lot done on that box. I'm crossing my fingers I can finish at least the box this weekend, so that'll be cool. But today's a new day, and I tried to run out in the car to, do weekend stuff, go to get groceries and all that, and the door wouldn't open, and I realized the spring is broken. So that's unfortunate. I need to move everything so I can back this car out the other door and get it out of here so we can actually use the car until I'm able to get springs and fix this. Just so you see what I'm working with, that's the door. That's the other door. It's kind of a unique scenario. There's two doors. And so we'll pull the truck out, and then of course all my stuff is here and I have to move it. We'll move this stuff, move the heater, and then I should be able to cut it tight and back it out. All right, we got it out. I need to pull the car out more often so we can get better shots in here. Just been in such a hurry most of the time, or too lazy, one or the other. So let me get everything back apart. I had to put this thing back together so I could drive it because it was the only one that would get out of the garage easy enough. And I'm gonna run the jet heater for a minute because it's 40 degrees in here and I want to warm up a little bit. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, well, the heater was running. I went back here and I cut this one shorter and threw a couple tacks on it. And then this guy over here, kind of hard to see, but I kind of shortened him and bent him, and he's tacked in place. So I'm gonna remove the box and finish welding that up and then put it back in, make sure it fits, and then go from there. That'll be really nice to have this firmly mounted. All the mounts are finalized and welded, and it's rubber mounted, so it's got a little give, but it's solid in there. It's not touching too. I made sure it wasn't touching the body because that would sound awful if this wiggled and was rattling. So that's all good. I think I'm gonna put the tube back in here and maybe try and finish that side up and then move on to the top. I got a patch made up for here. I cut a hole that should be close. Maybe it'll fit. And I think I can meet that gap up there with a little hammering. And I think I just need a triangle there and we'll be good to go. So I'm gonna weld this in And then, wow, we can call the bottom pretty much completed. Okay, I got this piece welded in. Let's bolt it back in, make sure our intake tube fits in here. And then if that works, we're gonna hop up to the top and try and get that completed. That looks pretty good, huh? Good bit of space. The filter is not touching anywhere. Ideally, if I like it, I'm gonna tack it up there. But right now I'm just gonna let it float. I'm gonna throw a little rubber in there to seal it. Just kind of rig it up. But I'm calling the bottom done. So that's pretty cool. Now we need to work on the top. Here's the top. So I've removed the airflow meter that attaches here. I'm gonna cut this horn thing off that it mounts to because it's not gonna come in the top anymore. And then after I get that, I'm gonna cut it in half. And then I'll be able to start stitching it together and extending it. So I've got it cut in half, cut the airflow thingamajigger off, and it's looking pretty good. Obviously, I just need to add in here and block that off. And then we have a lid. It's not really that complicated, I guess. So let's get at it. We're getting there. It's super late. I'm wasting a lot of time on this project, honestly, but I got these two tacked in to kind of bridge the gap. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this like L piece on each side next. That way I can make sure everything fits, and then I'll just bridge in all the gaps. Yay, we got the lid done. Looks okay-ish. I need a gasket to go under here. The filter was the gasket originally, and now it's a different filter. And then I guess I'm gonna put the tube in, and it's 3 in the morning. I think I'm gonna wait till the morning to start it up. All right, I put a gasket around here to seal it. The filter's in here. The tube is just chilling. There is a pretty big gap, but I couldn't get a hose around it to seal it up. I think we're just gonna start it quick and just see how it sounds. It's pretty late, so I'm gonna rev it like once. All right, it's actually the next day. It was 3 in the morning. I didn't want to rev it up too much. That was a lot of work, by the way. I put a lot of hours in on this video. I probably shouldn't have spent so much time, but I was excited to play around with this. So let's see if this hard work ruined the supercharger sound. I hope it didn't. Let's find out. It ruined it. Oh man. To be honest with you, I was actually kind of expecting that. In theory, it's not a whole lot different than what we had before. It's just a bigger box. And I was kind of hoping maybe the bigger box would help, but it didn't. So I thought of some ideas last night. Let's try a couple things, do some experiments, and see what we can do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid off. I'm going to run it, see if we still have that cool supercharger sound without a lid. And then that'll give us an idea of what we can do. I think I'm also going to grab a piece of cardboard or something and progressively cover the opening, you know, provided that taking the lid off makes cool supercharger noises. And just see how much flow we need to make it sound cool, and try and get an idea of what to do for next week. This is probably going to be it for this week, but let's play around just a little bit more. I don't want to leave it off there. I really want that supercharger sound, but I want an intake that isn't going to suck a whole bunch of water. So let's figure out how to get that sound back, and then we can tackle the problem of making it so it doesn't suck water in. All right, I got the lid off and I got a piece of cardboard. I'm just gonna play around. First thing I'm gonna do is I got the lid off, I'm just gonna rev it like that. Crossing my fingers, hopefully it still sounds awesome like it used to. And then we'll be able to go from there. If it sounds like poop, then we're kind of bummed. We did all this work for nothing. We'll have to figure something else out. But yeah, let's start there. We'll start with the lid off. If it sounds cool, I'm gonna progressively cover it with the cardboard just to see how that changes the sound. It's not gonna be perfect because it's just a piece of cardboard, but I think it'll give me a rough idea of what it's gonna sound like, what we can do. I left the camera in the same place, so you might not be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but I want the sound to be the same between the last clip. All right, that told me a lot. I'm really excited. Without the lid, it sounds cool. So that means we have some kind of options here. And it seems like the more you cover the lid up, the smaller you make that hole, the more it muffles it, the worse it sounds. So that gives me a lot of options. Originally, I was gonna just do like a tube out of the bottom and come into the bumper or something to get cold air. Maybe I'll still do that. I still kind of could, but it seems like it needs to be a big opening. So I don't know if I'm gonna cut a big hole in the top of the lid here or what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm happy that basically means it wasn't a complete failure and waste of time. It was definitely an experiment. I wasn't sure what to expect, but ultimately I'd like to keep the air filter from getting wet and still have that cool sound. So I'm trying to get the best of both worlds, and it seems like it's a little tricky to do that. I have a bunch of ideas to do that, to get some cold air in here, but it's gonna have to wait till next time. I spent like 12 hours this weekend on this, and I'm out of time. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and see what I do next on this. Give me ideas too. There might be some smart people there in the comments. If you have any cool ideas, let me know.